Hey, how are you? This is Aaron McKay with Bird Be Gone. Welcome to our first ever Ask an Expert live stream, and we are coming to you at NPMA vPestWorld 2020. Thanks so much for stopping by your booth or our booth, or joining us directly on YouTube. So this is a live broadcast. We're excited to have everyone joining us today. I'm sure more people will join us as we move along. If you do want to chat to us directly on YouTube, you can hit the name of the YouTube video on the actual window in the PestWorld booth, and it'll take you to YouTube directly, and you can chat with us directly there from YouTube. We're definitely looking forward to hearing from everyone. On my left, we have Brian Dono. How are you, Brian?
I'm outstanding. I'm glad we were able to have a show this year. I know it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride, but I'm glad to be here.
Right, me too. My name is Aaron McKay. I'm your host. We have Jeff Watts joining us as well. How are
Thanks,
you?
guys.
Morning.
Remote,
Jeff.
so I'm a little bit delayed compared to you guys, but I'd rather be in Nashville right now. But we're doing good.
You and me both. You know, yeah, that's a wonder of modern technology. The cool thing is we can be in different locations and all chat in real time. So this is pretty fun. And we have Mike Doherty joining me on.
Good morning, everybody. Wish we were in Nashville as well. Could have went to a football game.
Yeah.
It's good to be on here. Best we can do with a not live show, but
Right.
It's good to be here and seeing everybody show up from around the country. That's a good time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's good. So we are going to be having a fun conversation about bird control today. Just to kind of give you a roadmap for our time together. We're going to be talking about how the pandemic has influenced kind of the landscape of bird control, what you guys can do as PMPs or wildlife operators to help provide services for your customers, specifically around safety and sanitization. And for those that are just maybe joining the conversation about bird control, we're going to do like a 0 to 60 in bird control. What is bird control? Why is it important? How do you start getting into it? And then we're going to transition to talk about some of our new products. And as we close up our time together, we're going to actually have a really fun interactive trivia game. And whoever wins that trivia game is going to walk away with a free box of our Spectrum V Max Pack. That's 240 dishes of our brand new Spectrum V holographic bird gel. Does that sound good, guys?
That's a nice prize right there.
That's a pretty good prize.
Do it.
I like it.
I'm excited for whoever's going to win.
Fantastic
Tomorrow,
prize.
so.
And this is definitely not going to be like a scripted presentation. We're having a conversation. So if you haven't checked out Ask an Expert podcast before, we basically sit down with key questions that we get regularly, and we just talk about it. So that will be the format for today. So again, you guys have been out in the field providing services to your customer. As you guys know, you are an essential worker. So you have been placing yourself at risk to care for your neighbors, to care for your city. And because of your investment, Bird Be Gone has been able to keep the lights on. And my family, I have 4 kids. A lot of the other people on the team, have families, and we're keeping food on the table. So we're really, really thankful for your investment and sacrifice as pest control operators. We talk a lot around here about faith, family, and friends, and you guys are doing that hard work. So thank you guys so much for loving your cities, your neighbors well. So
Thank you. And please, send some chats to us too. Ask us any questions. We love that.
Yeah.
We like to be engaged, just like we do in the classes or in any other situation where we do your impressions. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You don't want to hear Mike talk the whole hour long. That's for sure.
No, we don't want that.
No.
Nope.
2
Nope.
hours.
Yeah, so definitely send us some chats. We want to hear from you guys. We'll definitely make space. I'll be checking the chat board as we move through. So if you have a question that you want us to interact with in real time, we would love to do that. And I'll remind everyone as we move through our time together that that's an option as well. So COVID-19 happened, right? So your access to the interior of the structure has been severely limited, or for many of you, it has been severely limited. So a lot of PMPs have been forced to get creative about how to capture more revenue or more money on the outside of the structure. But if you've been to any of our training classes, we actually host Bird Be Gone universities. We can do those virtually for you as well. If you attend those classes, you'll regularly hear us repeat again and again that one out of every 5 of your existing customers already has an untreated pest bird issue, right?
At least.
So on your normal routes, every 5th customer has an untreated pest bird issue. So there is money literally waiting for you to capitalize on in your existing route. And obviously, given the landscape of the pandemic, people are really, really sensitive to disease right now. And if you didn't know, again, you'd learn this if you came to a Bird Be Gone university. Pest birds and their debris can carry up to 60 communicable diseases. So you have an opportunity to make money on the outside of the structure, and you have the reason why, right? You're protecting the health and the safety of the people that you're servicing. So that's kind of our compelling invitation to you. Step into the bird control industry. And if you're interested by our conversation, we're basically going to lay a roadmap for you to how to do that. How do I step into the bird control industry? What are the first steps that I take? So guys, and maybe Mike, we'll start with you. If you're having a phone conversation, or let's just imagine we're at Nashville and the booth, someone walks up and says, "Hey Mike, I want to get into bird control. What are the first 3 things, or the first several things I need to do to learn more about bird control and get started?"
First things, whenever you're looking at a bird problem, just dissecting the problem right off the bat. I always call it, what kind of bird is it? Where are they? Undercover or out in the open? And how many are there? That's whether you're starting out in bird control or you're starting a bird job. Those are the first 3 questions I look to answer to help that PMP get through and decide what the right products are going to be.
Yeah.
But it's not just one thing; it's a whole host of things.
Yeah. And
with those 3 questions, the answers to those 3 questions, you can come down to the arrival at a solution for your customer.
Yes.
As you were talking about with the diseases, you have to look at their threshold of pain. As far as the things that bothering, whether it's disease or cost of cleanup and things like that. Once that customer has reached that threshold, then they're ready to do something.
Yeah.
And asking those 3 questions is the beginning to any bird control problem.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys can hear me all right.
Yep.
But
Jeff.
what Mike just said is great as far as determining a solution for the issue, right? I'll take it a step further. We want to have that conversation with the customer as far as what their expectations are, what's causing the pain for the customer, right? We've talked about this all the time, whether it's image or health and safety concerns or cost of cleanup, among other things, So we will also want to find out what's bothering the customer and what their expectations are. Bird-free property, reduce the waste, reduce the number of birds there, all that stuff also. So I do want to open up that conversation with the customer and see what their intentions are. That's going to help determine, especially as a new guy getting into it, do I waste my time on something like this? Or start small, is it too big of a problem for me to handle? Is this a good one for me to jump in? Then I'm just gathering as much information as I can, so then I can go back home or talk to the guys at Bird Be Gone or whoever, and put a plan together. But no, it's a 2-step. One is customer based, and then one is problem solution based as well. So that's all I have to add on that one.
Got it. How about you, Brian?
Well, we were just talking about this right before we came on here live. I have a gentleman, a pest control operator, who said, "I want to start doing bird control." So naturally I asked him, "Have you ever done it?" And the answer was no. So this is a PCO who wants to get into bird control. And I was actually talking to Mike and Aaron about this, and Mike mentioned, start small. Jeff just said it. Don't go too big your first time. In my mind, stick to the basics. The foundation for pest bird control, I think, has always been spike, netting, flat track, and then in the last 5 years, it's branched out to gel products a little bit more and to sensory products a little bit more. But those foundational 3, the spike, the net, and the flat track, that's something that you can use pretty easily if you've never done it. I mean, and most people can run a bead along a spike and put it on the edge of a roof. And then I would also encourage, if you've never done it and you want to get into it, to ask questions. There are a ton of resources available to you. There's a ton of resources showing how to do it, how-to videos. Bird Be Gone has a whole bunch of how-to videos. So you can research it and you can look at it. Like anything else, you want to do your homework, kind of figure out what's going to work for you, what's not. Stay within your abilities. Don't try to do something that's too big and end up hurting your reputation. And again, just call us, talk to us. We love talking to you anyway. Aaron mentioned faith, family, friends. I always like talking to people over the phone, and rather than trying to communicate electronically. But we're going to be doing that for a little while, so I understand it. But as far as getting into bird control, have products that are easy to use. Take pictures. Take a lot of pictures.
Call us.
And
Yeah,
absolutely.
You don't need to be experts right now. Excuse me. You don't have to be an expert right now. You just need to gather as much information as possible and bounce it off other people, such as us, obviously. But then we can determine if it's something you want to go after. It could be a very large contract, but a very simple problem to solve. So don't run away from it. I don't want you to run away from it, but at the same time, you don't want to bite off more than you can chew either. So.
Get out and do it. Only one way to get better at it. Get some jobs and do it.
Doesn't happen overnight. Nope. One little step at a time.
Nope. I learn something new every day about it.
Yes.
So we got a question that came in from Bust the Bug Pest Management. So appreciate you hopping on the live chat. I'll read it for you, Jeff, because you're remote. So pigeons roosting and nesting under solar panels is becoming a big problem in our area. Our main concern is safety while working on high-pitched roofs. Do you provide this training? So I think there's probably two questions in there, or an observation. One would be kind of the explosive growth of the solar panel bird control segment of business, and then safety. So Brian is our very own in-house solar expert. So Brian, how would you answer that?
I love this industry. Yes, it has exploded. It's going to keep exploding. I think that's the direction our whole country's going. Renewable energy, solar panels. With this type of problem, cleanups obviously number one, and you got to get under there, get all the eggs, debris, birds, what have you out of there. High pitched roof is something that everyone's challenged with. We don't actually offer any of that type of training. That's a safety training issue. That's something that you need to go outside for. I don't know. Are there any services that provide how to navigate through high pitched roofs?
The lift company do the safety training.
Okay.
They will, if you have somebody that you rent your lifts from, they have safety training classes. Right. Do the ladder safety, stuff like that.
Right. And there are a lot of companies now, solar maintenance companies in particular, who are doing this kind of work. And as a pest control operator, I'm sure you can call them for some advice. There's no conflict of interest. And they can kind of give you some pointers on how to be safe up there on those pitched roofs. Because inevitably you run into this if you're going to do this work. And this is a very lucrative market. It's only going to grow, and it's a very good source of income for pest control operators. So I would seek out solar maintenance companies and ask them. Find a friend, ask them how they deal with the high-pitched roofs, or ask a safety protocol company, lift company. They'll point you in the right direction. And then as far as install, I don't know if you've done it or not, but install is pretty straightforward with this stuff. It's just a matter of cleanup, accessibility, and then the product. So great question. I love that solar's being brought up.
Yeah.
Right away. Right after that.
Well,
For you, Brian.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, I mean, I thought Brian was gonna dodge the question like we're in a presidential debate here a little bit, but no, because it is such a tough. It's a tough situation. It is something we don't get into, right? I don't know if it's liability issues for us or lack of knowledge or whatever. Mike brought up lift company. My question to you, Mike, would be: would lift companies have some safety information for someone like these guys that you're not necessarily using one of their lifts to get up on the roof? He's talking about tying off on a roof structure, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which you need to tie off on. I just Do the lift companies provide that safety information
I
as
believe
well?
they do. Remember that
Or do,
all the lift training we did down there at
right?
at
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Sunbelt? They offered all that.
we
kind
did
of
all the
stuff.
equipment. We worked on all the equipment.
They
but-
offered all that other stuff as well.
Okay, good.
Who is the company that has this question?
It was Bust-A-Bug.
Bust-A-Bug. Thank you for asking this question because
Yeah.
this is something that's going to inevitably come up, and I'm going to research this after we get off this podcast. I'm going to find out because that's a good thing to know. I'm
Yep.
surprised it hasn't come up soon.
Yeah.
So thank you.
We can have
Yeah,
our
I
whole
think,
whole
I think
hour
Jason-
conversation on Spanish tile
Oh,
rooftops.
God, yeah. Call me for that one.
Step into the valley, not on the peaks in the Spanish Tile.
Yeah. Tread
Yeah.
lightly.
And there is an adjacent industry, wildlife control operators. I'm sure there's a lot of them that are coming to PestWorld as well. And their bread and butter is exclusion, so they're on roofs all the time. So if you have any friends in the pest control industry, there are all sorts of tips and tricks and tools that they use all the time. I know, what is it, the goat? There's a little hitch ladder system that you can use to put on high pitched roofs. So if you dive into that world, you'll get a lot of tips and help really, really quickly because the wildlife industry, they're really, really generous with sharing information. They want to see everyone succeed. So
And price accordingly, guys. I mean, safety is number one, and so there is a cost to properly being trained and protected up there. So
yeah, that's good. Well, to maybe tie the two conversations together. So Mike, I want to make sure people don't miss something you mentioned earlier. The three questions you're asking when you roll into a potential scenario where there's pest bird issues. So what type of bird is it? What is the species? Where are they? And I think what are they doing? And I guess maybe the fourth question is how big is the flock size, right? So species, where are they? What are they doing? And what is the flock size? So we have those conversations all the time when people call in and ask for help. That's probably one of the main conversations I have when someone is calling in and asking for advice on a bird control job. But from your perspective, what are the kind of key offenders? What are the pest birds that come up again and again? So the people watching can actually learn, hey, these are the types of birds I'm looking for, and maybe what are the types of behaviors they do, so they can learn how to look for them.
All right.
You want to go?
I'll go first.
There you go. Okay. You
Number one, our bread and butter, my favorite bird in the world, pigeon.
I was going to say magpie.
Magpie. All right. Well, that's a little bit further down. But pigeon, I think is synonymous with bird control. It's what,
all magpie folks.
we all look for. Of course, it's not limited to that, but the pigeon is a great bird in our eyes, but it's a nuisance to a lot of people. It's a stubborn bird. It is a persistent bird. It's a well-adapted bird, and it causes all sorts of problems. So pigeon would be number one. Number two, what do you think, starling or sparrow?
Sparrow, definitely sparrow.
Sparrow. And I want to elaborate on pigeons too. They nest anywhere. They nest anywhere and everywhere. Getting back to that solar panel question, they can lay an egg on the roof under the panel and just kind of hang out. It's like a freaking birth resort for pigeons under there.
Condo.
Yeah, so
Pigeon condo.
they'll nest anywhere. They breed a lot. They eat a lot. They poop a lot. You'll see them, typical behavior, you'll see them on the roof line of buildings, them in pockets of covered areas nesting. Parking garages, for example, is a good one. And as far as feeding habits, they usually eat on the ground, right? So they're usually coming into the ground to eat, and they stay in flocks. So if you see one, there's probably more. I don't know. I think we used to have a number. If there's a pair of pigeons, it can be how big by the end of a year. I think they can breed, 3 times a year?
They tend to breed all year long.
So
and
they can get
in the
big.
warmer climates, they tend to breed all year
Right.
long. In the colder climates, it's more spring, summer.
So pigeons always surprise me though too. There's always something that comes up and says, "Wow, they've
Right.
expanded their reign of terror on this business doing this." So yeah, look for pigeons doing anything. Nothing surprises me. But yeah, pigeons number one. So takeaway number two, Jeff or Mike?
Jeff?
Swallows or not
I think-
sparrows? Sorry.
No.
Probably, I would say it'd be sparrows, and then that's probably the sparrows have their seasonal behavior. Like starting around March, they really start their activity really heavy. That's when we get the most calls on them. But they are an all year round pest. Typically in the colder climates, they'll be coming into warehouses and stores and stuff like that. But again, in the springtime, you get a lot more of the well, homeowners and commercial situations.
Yeah,
They're
they're
breeding and they're much more active
Yep.
at that time. And throughout like March through about July, they finish up their third round of breeding. It sort of dies off, but the main times are in that early spring when we get the calls, and then
Right.
in the wintertime when they're going into places that are where the doors are open and it's warmer inside than it is outside. We don't have that problem here.
Sparrows are the mice of the bird world.
Yeah.
Correct.
Pigeons
That's a good
pigeons are the
analogy.
rats.
Exactly.
Right? They
Yes.
can fit in anywhere,
Absolutely.
and there's a whole bunch of them. And we're talking about this for people who are kind of getting into bird control. For people who've done bird work, you know this, so we're not trying to preach to the choir. So understand that we're just trying to lay out the groundwork for someone who's trying to start doing bird work, and then we'll get into more detailed stuff and keep the questions coming. But sparrows, yeah, they're tough. They keep coming.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's good.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, you have anything to add? Maybe you can hit.
No, well, the other one we're talking about is the starlings, right? So once again, they're different. I mean, they're growing much different pests than the other two that you mentioned. Obviously, they're not migrating either. Although in certain parts of the country they do migrate a little bit. But no, they're out in the fields, right? They're eating seeds and crops, and then coming into town in the evening hours, creating problems. But now they're in town all day long, right? They're food courts, inside their warehouses and everything like that. So they are a more aggressive bird. So they will run out your other birds that you have in town. They'll evict them out of their nests, so you don't have the traditional bird nests that the sparrows produce. But no, very aggressive bird, travel in these extremely large flocks, and that's usually what's causing a lot of the pain for the customer. Is just flocks of hundreds, thousands taking over, just the droppings and everything like that, loading the place.
Yeah, that's good. So I think the three birds that were mentioned, it's not there's a reason why we're doing that, because those are the bird species that we see issues with most consistently. There are some kind of second tier birds that fall beneath it. Geese are a popular one, woodpeckers for sure, swallows, and all sorts of other bird species. But those three offenders are the most common ones that we see, and they're also the three birds that are classified as non-protected species in the Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act.
Right.
And wink, wink. You might see. Well, I actually said it, but I didn't do it. So wink,
There
wink.
you go.
There's going to be. Remember the trivia at the end of our time together today. That may be a question. So the Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act, pigeons, sparrows, starlings, they're not protected, which means all other species are.
Protected.
The assumption is that they are protected.
They're protected. If anyone out there watching has customers complaining about swallows right now, swallows are a big problem, especially on residential areas. Now is the time of year to take care of the swallow problem.
Yeah, they're probably not
September 1st,
calling to complain right now.
September 1st through February 15th.
Right.
It's free and clear to knock down the nest. They're gone.
Now's when you got to do it.
And
Now's when you got to do it. And there is a lucrative industry out there for people who are willing to take on that challenge. A lot of times they go untreated. They're tricky, but if you can figure out a way to do it economically and quickly and efficiently, you're going to be sitting pretty. We field a ton of swallow calls. So anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But if you have any swallow jobs, get on it now.
Yeah, that's good. And it looks like just to pause the conversation, we have another question that came in. So V Kodo asked actually two different questions. I'll ask the second one first. It kind of gives a little bit of context. We have a warehouse fleet. There's been an issue with these birds. They're nesting and ripping out the netting. So there's a large warehouse where they've had bird issues. So they put up netting to address it. And it sounds like the birds are aggressively kind of chewing through the net. And we definitely have seen that happen if the nesting issue isn't addressed or cleaned first, right?
Definitely.
So how if someone, let's say Vcodo calls in, and again, thanks for the question, and he kind of walks us through this scenario, how would you support him? What would be your recommendation?
Okay. Is the netting already up?
Sounds like, yeah.
Sounds like the netting's already up. All right.
Yeah, I'd like to see that netting.
It sounds like probably not installed correctly. It might be a cheaper netting.
Right.
A less robust brand, because birds typically
A bird might be trapped in there.
polyethylene netting.
Bird's not going to pull our net apart.
No.
Yep.
And the reason they're going after it, there's either babies in there still,
Yep.
or they're trying to get back to their nest. I know that happens sometimes when you exclude them; they follow their nose back to the nest. So there's something that they're not seeing. They need to dig a little bit deeper. There's all sorts of equipment that you can do that with now. But there's something back there they're trying to get to. That's what that is.
What kind of bird? First question: what kind of birds are these? Probably sparrows, but
Or starlings.
Yeah.
Sparrows or
do that
starlings.
pretty
Yeah.
aggressively too. And if you don't know how to identify the type of bird, use the size. If you give us the size, we could probably put the
Put
bird
an
species
identity
to it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what a pigeon looks like. Starlings and sparrows can be a little, little
You can
iffy.
get the
Sparrows,
finches
Especially
that
from
look like
30
sparrows.
feet up in the air.
Right. So starlings are mid. I just call them mid-sized
Mid.
birds, and then you got the little Tweety birds, which are usually sparrows. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to be a biologist to know all this stuff. So
So let's say again, maybe to give a little bit more context. So it's an existing nesting situation. It sounds like it's been happening for a really, really long time. Let's say it is a lower cost net. Oftentimes when we do hear stories like this, it's a lower cost garden netting where birds are kind of trying to get back to their nesting spots. So let's say we're going in and treating the problem from the ground up. So the cheap net is coming down. How do we address the nesting situation? How do we clean it out, get rid of those bird populations, and then prepare the space for a good netting install?
That's exactly what needs to happen. You assess the situation, see what how deficient is the net that's there. Is the cabling system in place? Is it not? It sounds like there's probably a redo right here, from ground zero.
Yeah.
We might,
Go from scratch.
Unless
Mike, we might need to think about trapping too, depending on the species of bird. You obviously have some stubborn birds in there. They're very aggressive, determined to get back in there. So if it is a non-protected species, maybe we can trap those birds out of there as well. Or Abatrol or something, whatever's available to us. But once again, we need to know more information before we can recommend something like that.
email pictures to us.
Yes.
You got them.
It's really good. Yeah. So, I mean, all the people that you see on the screen, we got Jeff, we got me, we got Brian, we got Mike. It's less than half of our kind of a bird control specialist team. So if you ever have a problem where you don't know what to do, like Brian said, take video, even FaceTime us, take pictures, call in, shoot us all that information. We'd be happy to talk you through the situation. So Vkoto, appreciate you putting the question on the chat. For those people that are just joining us right now, you can hop onto YouTube, watch the live stream. There's a chat section on the right-hand side. If you leave any comments or questions, we'll try our best to interact with those in real time. So we talked about kind of the three things that we're looking to answer when we come into a bird control situation. What kind of bird is it? Where is it? What is it doing? So as a pest control operator is going about their route, we've already mentioned that 1 in 5 of their structures or locations already has an untreated pest bird issue. How do they spot them? How do they spot the bird issue so they can actually actively engage in a conversation with their customer? How about you,
That's a
Mike?
tricky one. Yep. That's a tricky one.
There we go.
Bird.
Look for the owls and
The fake owl.
the fake owls, fake hawks, all that kind of stuff. These are clear indicators
Balloons, flash tape.
That
of
is
a
good
bird
one.
problem.
That's a good one.
I call these leads.
Those are leads.
I wish we could put little transmitters in them so we could geolocate them all, but
Right.
I don't think that would be. Oh wait, Facebook does that.
You
Never mind.
can you can
Oh, man.
just look to see if there's any other bird control products up too. So in the area, there's been a bird problem. When you take care of the problem, they tend to just move. You move them close by. There's a reason they're there: food, water, shelter. So if you push them off one area, they're going to go to another. If we're talking specifically about residential, that's a little bit harder because they can tuck up into eaves and things like that. We're not necessarily going to see them. In our class, we say what? Look up,
Look up,
down,
look down. Simple.
around. Yep, that's pretty simple.
You got bird droppings on the bait station. It's good to
right.
go.
Right, and then ask your customer if you're there for a termite job residentially. Say, have you had any bird problems? Do you have any rodent problems? you know, they'll say yes. Just communicate. And same with commercial.
That's good.
I think,
I like
yeah,
the hawk or the owl in the beginning of the class, and do these work?
no,
Absolutely, they
They
do.
work for
The Hawks,
leads.
the Hawks work.
They
The
don't.
Owls don't.
That's a different conversation.
Right.
A different show.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to, I mean, you can't. The elephant's in the room now. I don't know if you felt it on the other side of the screen, but I just felt the tension right here, and we're gonna work through it. Yeah, so decoys actually can work. It really depends on what the situation is. If it, and we'll maybe have these guys expand on it a little bit later. What bird pressure is and how you diagnose bird pressure. But if it is a non-resident bird population, light bird pressure situation, visual deterrence can sometimes work. And particularly when it comes to decoys, if you put that decoy in the area and are committed to moving it around regularly, it'll push out birds that aren't already embedded in the area. So,
It is
but
a tool. It's a viable tool.
for sure. But usually, what you guys will see as pest control operators is you'll see that building a facility guy or the restaurant owner trying to solve the problem themselves, and if they go on to Google and type in pest pigeon or pest bird, number one, we own that space as far as SEO, which is great because our marketing team is awesome. But they'll run into these are all my options, and what is a consumer going to do? They're going to go for the cheapest solution, and usually that is something like a decoy or another visual deterrent. So those things can help you identify locations where someone's tried to self-diagnose and self-solve, and it's gone horribly wrong. And if you've been around the bird control industry for a while, you'll see the funny pictures of a pigeon, literally sitting on top of an owl, which is always good for a chuckle when we're teaching in class. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
no, I was going to take it a step further. Obviously, you guys were looking for visual signs, right? I was thinking something else. One, your techs are your best resource, right? How many accounts do they see every day, right? You're saying 1 in 5 have a possible bird issue that you can address. They need to identify that, not your sales guys. Your techs are out there seeing those every day, so they are a great way. And then obviously your marketing side, your marketing team as well. Are you letting your clients proactively know that you can handle the bird issues as well? Because Joe homeowner, Joe business owner doesn't always know who to turn to. So they're surfing the web and typing in pigeon spikes or pigeon poop or something like that, and our name pops up. So they're calling us instead of you. So letting your customers know that you can handle that is a great way. Like I said, if you do have 1 out of 5 with bird issues, that means they're gonna 20% of your customer base is gonna start calling you on birds. That's a pretty good lead source right there. But proactively going out there and having the techs look up instead of looking down. They're obviously looking for entry points down along the perimeter of the building. If they're looking up, looking for droppings or birds and stuff like that, it's a great lead source.
Yeah, it's good.
One of the things that I've experienced with the pest control industry is the best way to tell your customers is our installer authorized installer sticker has helped them get a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
Or whether it's on the sticker or on telling your services on your truck. And the other one that I hear one of the most is on the hold music. Hey, we do birds, bed bugs, listing all your types of services on your hold music or on your internet page and stuff like that. So letting those customers know, like you said, Jeff, letting them know that you do it, because the general public doesn't always think of their pest control when it comes to birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we pay a lot for those search words, right, to pop up on a national basis. Yep. But if you're just in one small little local market, it might be more affordable for you to get that. Someone type in pigeon control and your name pops up. That's gold.
Yep. Yeah, I know it's been mentioned a couple different times, but for those who are maybe newer to Bird Be Gone, we actually do invest heavily, well over $1 million a year in marketing to generate public awareness with both residential and commercial facilities managers or building service managers, what have you. So when people do do those search terms, our name invariably comes up and those phone calls come to us. So as you get closer to the faith, family, friends of Bird Be Gone, you can actually step into a training environment and become an authorized installer. And all of those phone calls and leads that come into us, we actually distribute them to our authorized installer base so we can help you guys, our friends, grow your business. So we've talked about the importance of bird species. Where are they? What are they doing? Let's say a technician is doing their route. They walk around the building. They see some signs. They let you know. So you're following up on a secondary appointment, or you're out there. You see it yourself firsthand. How are PMPs going to actually diagnose a bird control problem? What areas of the structure are they looking at? And how can they determine what the birds are doing? So are they just roosting, which means hanging out in an area, perching, or are they actively building a nest? So maybe Mike, jump us into that one. What are people looking for when you've already identified that there's a pet bird?
I've always helped, it's very simple looking at whether it's covered or it's not covered. I think the biggest thing that helps is besides the product. And the covered areas, usually we're looking at a nesting situation. And if it's covered, I typically go towards netting, exclusion, to block that out. If it's out in the open, that's where we pick up that spikes or gels or rapid gel or track. The single biggest sort of identifier to where you're going to use wet fiber with.
Yep.
I've always touted that. Most people have heard people say that.
Right.
They know the saying.
Well, one behavior too is my personal favorite, which is loafing. All right. If they're loafing, you can use a number of different products. So, like Mike said, if they're on the edge, if they're on the building, just hanging out, you can use something like Spike Protect. If they're making nests, generally we like to go towards netting. That's not to say there aren't instances where they're netting, where they're nesting that Spike won't work. Obviously, there's some certain things that have to be in place to be able to use Spike for nesting birds, but that's not out of the question. If they're in the air, this is a common one that's tough. If they're just flying overhead and they're pooping, that's something that you would use probably sound for. A propane cannon or an IV-50, a bird chase supersonic, something audible. It's been proven that supersonic does it. They're like we do. Ultrasonic. Another common problem is trees. We haven't talked about trees yet.
Yeah.
Trees.
Oh.
Trees. Birds are supposed to be in trees, so naturally you're going to find them in trees, and they still poop in trees, and they drop it on whatever's underneath it. Luckily, we have a product to combat that now, avian block. Great product for trees. It's releasing methylantranolate into the air, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that towards the end. So looking at them in trees, where else? Geese would be on the ground.
Yep.
That's pretty specific to water birds, geese, ducks, goose. What else? Herons, your water birds,
Waterfowl.
seagulls.
Yeah.
Seagulls are a costly bird. They're species
Good video.
almost caustic, and they'll land on the flat part of the roof. There's some other ones. Swallows that build nests up in the roof. So you're basically looking for nesting behavior, feeding behavior, or the loafing behavior.
Loafing ledge products.
Yep.
Right.
That's good. And a lot of it really depends on, I think a secondary question I often ask is, how long has this behavior been happening, right? So if it is nesting behavior, but this is the first time they've actually ever done it, that would be a great scenario where maybe something like Spike or Track is a great option, as long as you clear that nesting material out, do a really good job sanitizing the area, removing all the pheromones so the birds aren't attracted back into that space. Spike would be awesome. But if it is an embedded scenario or what we call, a resident bird population, they're like, that's their home. You're going to have to take more serious measures of exclusion. And Mike mentioned it earlier. He used the phrase undercover. It basically just means shelter. Like, is it a place where there's a ledge or an overhang or something where the birds aren't directly in exposure to the sun? Because birds, like any creatures, are seeking three things: food, shelter, water. So they're going to nest in spots where they feel protected from the environment, primarily sun, and then wind. Pause real quick. We actually have Jay Dockweiler. He just posted. He said, I didn't know bird control was so exciting. I know. I just get excited sitting next to Mike. But yeah, birds themselves, bird control is awesome. So yeah, I'm happy you hopped on the live stream so we can learn a little bit. And it's all the products that we discussed. Spike, track. Mike mentioned the holographic bird gel or avian block. The beautiful thing about the overwhelming majority of bird control products is you don't have to be an engineer or an architect to install them. They're actually really, really easy to put up and to use, and they're highly effective. So,
Hey,
Aaron, hopping on and dropping a comment.
Aaron, I have to say hello. That's Jeff, a friend of mine that's joining us here today. He's
awesome.
actually got a new product for the bird control industry type of deal. It's the high speed doors to keep birds from getting into warehouses, stuff like that too. So we might not have time to talk about that with Jeff today, but new products all the time, new opportunities. Every situation is different, requires a different plan of action. So were we talking about sheltered areas, like Mike was talking about exclusion, sheltered nesting requires netting. Yep. We either have to seal it off up in the rafters or keep them from coming into the property in the first place. And so things like the vinyl strip doors, Jeff's high-speed powered doors and stuff like that is another option type of deal. But that's what we're doing. We're trying to figure out what the problem is so we can offer the best solution.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for joining.
And we have a shorter time period today. We're not going to be able to do a full treatment of all the different scenarios or complexities you're going to run into with bird control. I think Jeff Dockweiler's comment is we're just trying to generate excitement. A lot of people in the pest control industry don't even know that bird control is a thing. We're here to tell you emphatically that it is a thing, and we're here to help. So I think the biggest thing or primary encouragement I would have you walk away from our time together this morning is that you have us on your side. We're your team. So if you do need help, just again, take pictures, give us a call. We can help talk through, diagnose most bird issues and give you a plan of action in minutes. You're not talking like an hour-long phone call. If you're in a rush, we can have that conversation in 3 minutes. If you're not in a rush, we'll hang out and have a good conversation. You'll learn a lot about bird control. Do you have anything, Dad?
Yeah, it's just reminded me of Chris Fields going, man, you were talking to that guy for a long time.
Mike will talk for 2 hours if you want to go through it.
Yes. How much time do you have?
Over 30 minutes, I get a call from Chris.
What's your extension?
119.
119. There you go.
Yeah, so if you want to have a really long conversation where the Raiders are peppered in there,
Yeah,
right.
Call Mike and you guys can chat. It'll be great.
And we'll look at it on Google Earth together.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic tool, though.
It is.
That's something I realized what a fantastic tool Google Earth is for me to help you from my desk in my office.
Right.
It's pretty cool. The best one was the guy thought I actually teleported to the location.
Right. One quick comment, and then we'll wrap up with a fun game of trivia where you can win a max pack of Spectrum V. Is with the current environment of the pandemic, I'm sure you guys have seen in your hometowns, just like ours. I live in a small little beach town called San Clemente, and there's been an explosion of outdoor dining, right? Depending on where your area is and where you're at in the safety protocols in relationship to COVID-19, out dining might be available now to the public, and people are anxious to actually enjoy a good meal. And a lot of that dining is happening outside, and birds love food, and they happen to be outside as well. So I think something to look at as you kind of open your eyes, begin to look up and look down and explore bird control as an option is, can you provide services to your restaurateurs, people that you're already, again, servicing as a customer? Can you help them solve their bird issues in outdoor dining scenarios? But there's a great segue to one of our products that Brian mentioned earlier. It's the avian block bird repellent. So we released this beginning of the year along with our Spectrum V holographic bird gel, which we'll talk about in a moment. So maybe Brian, you could talk a little bit about the active ingredient methylene thranolate, how it impacts birds, and why this is such a cool product. And we can chime in if you.
Yeah,
want us as well.
methylanthranolate. It's been around forever. Derived from grapeseed extract. Most commonly used for geese on turf. It's a great product. It's gonna be around forever. It's proven itself.
Yeah.
What we did with avian block was we took it and we engineered it in a way so it's in a granular form. So now it's going to become an aromatic bird control product. So it's going to be released into the air. So instead of the bird having to eat it, which is what's designed for the turf spray, the birds are just inhaling it, and it's giving them that really irritating feeling in their eyes and mouth, mucous membrane, and what's the nerve called? The trigeminal nerve. There's one for you.
You can drop that at the next party.
Right.
So on the test?
It irritates that, but it works very well, and it's given pest control operators, wildlife control operators, the option to get rid of birds in open spaces like trees, what I mentioned before, outdoor dining areas that he just talked about, storefronts where you can't necessarily put traditional products like spikes or net or track. Basically, anywhere where birds have been able to get up until now, you got a solution for it. Woodpeckers works great for woodpeckers.
Yeah,
I know
that's-
everyone watching this has had a woodpecker.
Good results with woodpeckers.
Great
That's
result
what
with
I-
woodpeckers. So imagine the turf spray, but now in a form that is released into the air. Bird doesn't have to eat it. It's passive. It's easy to use. Lasts for 6 months to a year, or a year to 18 months, depending on which one you get. And it's really a great product. It's been around for a while, and we're happy to have it with Bird Be Gone. It's a great tool, reoccurring revenue product.
I think it's the best. The best thing about it is that using it in areas where you can't put the normal line of product.
Exactly.
That's where
Exactly.
It feels like a tree.
Right.
Obviously, the best way to solve a bird problem in a tree is cut it down.
Cut the trees. Yeah, right. We're in
This kinda
California.
takes it-
We're in California. You can't cut trees down.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
sir.
I think this takes the place of those things where you can't fit in the normal line of products.
Yep.
That's why it's a good fit for us.
Or it's an add-on.
Mhm.
That too,
Or it's an
yeah.
add-on. Someone mentioned the solar panel mesh. Sometimes the birds hang out outside the panels after you push them out. Put some of this around the outside of it.
I had a customer in Vegas.
Yep.
They did the exclusion, and
Right.
there was like 20, 30 birds, and they're still hanging out. And they used
Mhm.
this stuff around the panels, and it pushed them off. So
Perfect product used with exclusion.
And
Yeah.
this is a tool that everyone should have with them. Every pest control operator, regardless of whether you're doing bird control now or you're not. It's like, treat it as you would carrying snap traps in your truck,
There you
chemicals in your truck, because you can come across a bird problem and you have something that's going to work for it.
Yeah,
right there,
it's
you
not
open
gonna-
up the door.
it's not going to take up a lot of space in your
Exactly.
truck either. So
It's as simple as tacking it up into the area where you're having bird problems.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so
Yeah,
instead of having to
it's-
schedule another trip out there and pay for a technician or mobilization costs to get back out there, it's really small. It fits in your truck, literally hang it up, and that means you're making more profit on that job, and you can actually treat the issue right then and there. Which, from a customer service standpoint, there's no better feeling
Right.
as a customer. You're talking to the technician, and here's my problem, and literally problem solved.
and
Same visit. It's amazing.
Instantly. That's the one thing that the pest industry sees. If you can fix it right there and then,
that's it.
that's golden.
In anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
anything.
anything.
Yeah. They're already
You know what I like about it?
letting you solve a problem. So
What I like about it is that it's always on, right? We've had this airborne, methylanthranolate for a while now, right? And Fog Force, Avian Control, EcoBird,
Mechanical.
but that has usually been either manual with a thermal fogger or with one of the hazing systems that is on a timer, right? This is always on. So it's not something where you're every 15 minutes you're spraying something, hoping the wind doesn't, move it around. This is always on as well. You can put it right where you want it. You can surround the area with it, but it's like with the hazing and the thermal fog, manually you have to have it on at given intervals. This one's always on. That's what I love.
Yeah, no, it's always working. You don't have to see it to know it's working.
That's great.
And the cool thing is it's really small. It's about the size of the palm of your hand. So it's really, really small. Next product that we want to talk briefly about. So let's say you're in that dining scenario and there's a lot of elevated ledges around the outdoor dining place. You can use something like the Spectrum V holographic bird gel. Again, a new product that we released last year. Super easy to install. And it's actually impacting the bird on 3 different levels. It's impacting their sight through the embedded holographic flex. It's impacting them through smell, through the use of, we have essential oils, basically a peppermint, it's citronella, and then it's impacting them through sense of touch. So if they actually step on the gel, they don't like that tactile, sticky feeling, they'll move out of the area. Again, really, really small box, really, really easy to install, has actually a very pleasant smell. So it's not going to drive away customers. There are some other products out in the market that have a distinct kind of garlic smell, and if you're smelling that as you're eating dinner, unless you're eating Italian, which I guess not a bad thing, you're going to enjoy the smell that you're smelling. Fits on your truck just like a snap trap. Again, you can solve that problem first visit. So anything else to add on about Spectrum V or Avian Black, fellas?
Yeah, this is a pure money making product right here. It's become apparent from the past few years that the gel in a dish concept is here to stay. It's an effective way to get rid of birds. Are there other products out there? Absolutely. Are there other products out there that are made in the United States? No. Are there any products as low cost as ours? No. So those are two major things. Now more than ever, I think we're emphasizing made in the United States, and this is something that is made in the United States. Yep. People feed their families making this product right here in the United States.
In-house.
It's something to consider. It's also a lower cost, and it's just a great product. It's going to catch fire.
Yep.
It's going to catch fire, and we have a great deal.
Watch your wording on that one, Brian.
It's gonna, yeah, right. Not literally.
That is genius.
No,
that was good.
thank you.
True. Thank you, Jeff.
I don't want people to.
No, that's not catching
Birds,
No.
birds won't see the fire.
No.
So if you are, again, the whole point of our time together today is for people that are newer to the bird control industry, haven't thought about it before, give you a general introduction, general overview. You leave with some tips and tricks on how to actually diagnose a problem. And then we wanted to end our time together with a couple products that are really, really easy on-ramp to bird control. Avian Block and Spectrum V holographic bird gel. As far as installation goes, it's about as easy as it gets. Super small format. As far as cost of the product, it's a small investment from you that allows you to make money easily, immediately. So Spectrum V holographic bird gel, Avian Block, great on-ramp products if you're looking to explore getting into bird control. Gentlemen, any final comments before we get into the trivia? So our friends out there can actually win a box of 240 of these.
No, I encourage all of you to get the Avian Block and the Spectrum V, put it in your truck. You're going to use it. You just will. If you're doing pest control or wildlife control, absolutely you're going to use it. So I encourage you to get a pack of each or get a max pack of the Spectrum and a couple packs of Avian Block. So I'll leave it at that.
It's good.
Yeah. Fits in the truck easily. Sorry, Jeff, I misstepped.
No, it's all right. If we're wrapping things up, I just want guys to know to lean on us. As far as trainings go and whatever you think you're lacking, let's set up some trainings. I wish I was out on the road right now. Trust me, I need to get out of here really bad.
We all wish we were in Nashville.
However, until we get back to our little normal lives again, let us know. Aaron has done a great job setting up some of these virtual trainings for us. We'll keep it short and sweet, but let's get some interaction going online, but more personal, more direct than these podcasts out to the world. Let's get focused on your team and what they need, whether it's the install side, whether it's the product side, whether it's the bird biology side, or just the sales issues and stuff like that. Let's cater it to your needs, and let's try to schedule some of these meetings, whether it's with myself or Mike or Brian, and any of the guys here would love to meet with you. And then maybe when we get some clearance to fly and travel, then we get out there and do some site evaluations and stuff like that. So don't just lean on us.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, this is less than half the team. When you call in, you can get Chris or Alan or Billy or Sean or Scott Swanson, the legendary Scott Swanson. You can get any of us, and we're all more than capable, more than willing, and excited to help. Mike, any parting comments?
We're here to help you guys any way, shape, or form. Call us. That's what we do. That's what we pride ourselves on. That we're good. We're the best in the business of helping people out and turning and helping you guys make money. So we're here to help.
Thank you.
We don't know the answer. We'll find it for you.
God bless y'all. Thank you for your business and for sticking with us and sticking to helping people out through all this.
Yeah.
Pests didn't go away because COVID did. So we love you. We appreciate everything you've done, and we appreciate you working with us and being part of the family.